Hello, this is Susie Newhan, and this is the first of 2 videos on solving basic algebraic equations. It contains some exercises, and I would recommend that you watch this video as many times as it takes for you to be comfortable with these exercises. So, jumping right into it. Here's an equation. You'll remember from your time at school that the equal sign is a very, very sacred symbol in maths. It must be respected. It tells us that what's on one side of the equation must exactly equal what's on the other side of the equation, which means if we make a change to one side of the equation, we must make the same change to the other, because otherwise they're not going to balance anymore. One will be sort of heavier than the other, or lighter. So when we solve these equations, we do a lot of rearranging, but each one is a separate step that always balances the equation. It cannot be out of balance even for a short while. So let's look at this one. We want to know what x is equal. So normally this is about getting x all on its own on one side of the equation. But 3 is getting in our way there, isn't it? We don't want that 3 there. Now, I appreciate that you can see what the value of x probably is already, but we're learning a methodology. So how do we get rid of the 3? Well, what we're going to do, and let's make a little memo to ourselves here, is that we're going to take 3 away from both sides, because on that side we'll be left with just the x, which is what we want. If we've got x equals, we've solved it. Whatever's on the other side is the answer. So let's take 3 from both sides. What do we get? If we take 3 away from x plus 3, we've just got x. And we have to take 3 away from that side, which is 17. That's our answer. Do it again. Here we've got 4 plus x equals 16. Different order, but it's the same thing. The 4 is getting our way, so what are we going to do? We're going to subtract 4 from both sides. So here it is. And we've got the answer. Let's do another one. What about x minus 6 equals 10? And what about x minus 3 equals 14? So the same thing here. We've got the 6 is in our way, but the observant amongst you will notice that it's minus 6. So how do we get rid of a minus 6? What are we going to do to that side to get rid of it so that it's just x on its own? Well, hopefully you can see that we're going to add 6, because we've got a hole the size of 6, and if we fill it with a positive 6, the hole goes away and it becomes 0. So what we're going to do this time is add 6. So what happens when we add 6 to minus 6? It goes to 0. Yeah, it's like putting matter, antimatter together. Put them together, they disappear. So we've now got x, and on this side we've got 16. And you can see that if now that we know x is 16, put 16 there, we say 16 minus 6 is 10. It works. What about this one? X minus 3 equals 14. Well, again, we're going to add 3 this time. So if we add 3 there, this goes away. It becomes just x 17. Good. How about so cranking it up a little bit here, we've got 4x. That means 4 lots of x. 4 times x. Remember, in shorthand and algebra, 2 things written together is always an implied multiplication. So what are we going to do there? Well, we're going to do the same thing. We want to get x all on its own. So the first thing we do is get rid of these numbers that are sort of getting in our way. So how do we get rid of the 3? We subtract 3 from both sides. When we say what we're going to do, we always say from both sides. Minus 3. So what have we got now? We've got 4x equals 27 minus 3 is 24. All right, so now we know that 4 lots of x equals 24. So hopefully you can see that 1 lot will be divided by 4, but let's have a go at this. When we see this, we think, right, if I divide both sides by whatever that number is, if I divide 4 lots of x by 4, I get 1 lot of x. So remember, something over something is always a division. So I'm allowed to divide both sides by whatever number I want, as long as it's the same number on both sides. So I'm choosing to divide by 4 because I've got a 4 there. So divide both sides by 4. These actually cancel out. So it's just x. If I'm multiplying by x and if I'm multiplying by 4 and dividing by 4, the 2 just cancel out. So it's looking good on this side. I've got x equals. Now I've just got to work out what 24 divided by 4 is, and it is 6. There's our answer. I'll do the same again here. I want to get rid of that 7. How do I get rid of it? I add it to both sides. That will get rid of that. So I get 20x equals 7 plus 33 is 40. So I now know that 20 lots of x is equal to 40. So whatever this number is, I divide both sides by it. Here we go. These cancel out because I'm multiplying and dividing by 20. So it's just x. And 40 divided by 20 is 2. So just move the camera down a little bit. Okay, what if we've got x over 2? That looks a little different, doesn't it? But same old method. Look, the 3 is in our way, so we're going to get rid of this 3. That will give us x divided by 2 equals 22. A little bit of hesitation there. So subtract 3 from both sides, 22. Good. Right, but now this side is divided by 2. So how do I get rid of that 2 on the bottom? If my all-important x is divided by 2, what if I multiplied it by 2? Okay, so this time I'm multiplying both sides by 2. In fact, let me just get a bit messy here. Well, let's do this off to the side. If I've got x over 2 divided by 2, what does that equal? Well, these are going to cancel out because I'm dividing by 2, but at the same time I'm multiplying by 2. So it really is just x. So let's just get rid of that. So what are we going to do? We've got a 2 on the bottom, so we'll multiply by 2. So that's going to give us x, yeah, 2 times x over 2 is just x. Multiply this side by 2 is 44. What about this one? Well, again, we want to get rid of the minus 6. How do we get rid of that? We add 6 to both sides. So let's do that. We end up with x over 5 equals 8. So, last thing is to get rid of that 5. How do we get rid of a 5? Well, we think, well, if I multiply both sides by 5, that 1/5 x will just become 1x. At the moment, it's 1/5 of an x. So let's multiply it by 5. What do we get? We get x equals 40. So next I'm going to put up some questions and then I'll put answers. So here's some practice questions. So maybe freeze frame and have a go at these yourself.